Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Ashok Goel from the Department of Physics and Astrophysics, University of Delhi. Today we are going to discuss about a module, subgroups, classes and cosets under the paper Mathematical Physics. So students, let us see what we are going to learn in this module. We will learn more mathematical preliminaries relevant to the study of abstract group theory. We will learn about subgroups and classes of elements in the group, and then we will learn to construct group multiplication table. First, we will discuss the subgroups. Let the group G consisting of elements Gi be a group. Consider a subset H of this group which has elements Hi, and this subgroup is itself a group with the same multiplication law as the original group G. If that happens, then the set H consisting of elements Hi is called a subgroup of G and is denoted by H contained in G. There are two obvious subgroups for every group. Number one, a subgroup consisting solely of the identity element of G. Number two, a subgroup consisting of all the elements of G. These are called the improper subgroups, and if there exist another subgroups, they are called the proper subgroups. A remark is in order. How to decide whether a subset H of G is a subgroup or not? It is not necessary to check all the properties of the group multiplication. It is sufficient to check only two properties, namely the closure and the existence of inverse for all elements H belonging to the subgroup capital H. For finite groups of order n, in fact, only closure is sufficient. We don't have to worry even about the existence of inverse, since for such a group, some power of every element of the group G is the identity element. That is, if A is an element of the group G, then some power of A to the power P, is the identity element E, where P is an integer which is less than or equal to the order of the group. And therefore, the inverse of the group A inverse is simply equal to the P minus 1th power of the element A. I will now give some examples of this subgroup. Consider the group G of all positive and negative integers, including 0, with the binary operation as algebraic addition, which we consider the group multiplication. So, the group G consists of elements 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, etc. Consider now a subset H of the group G consisting of elements P multiplied by Q, where P is any fixed positive or a negative integer and Q runs through all the elements of G. For example, let us take P as a fixed positive integer to be 6. Then we have the new elements 6 times elements of the group G. That is, now we have the set consisting of the elements 0, plus minus 6, plus minus 12, plus minus 18, and so on. It is easy to verify that the set of elements P dot Q forms a group by itself. It is thus a subgroup of the original group or the bigger group G. Example 2. Consider the group of all 2 by 2 complex matrices with group multiplication as matrix multiplication. There exists in this set the following subsets: a set of 2 by 2 Hermitian matrices, B, a set of 2 by 2 unitary matrices, and the set of 2 by 2 unitary matrices with determinant plus 1. It is easy to see that the subset A, which consists of 2 by 2 Hermitian matrices, is not a subgroup. Because if H1, H2 are two 2 by 2 Hermitian matrices, then the product H1, H2 in general is not Hermitian. For the Hermitian matrices, H1 dagger is equal to H1 and H2 dagger is equal to H2. But H1, H2 dagger is equal to H2 dagger, H1 dagger, which is equal to H2 into H1, which in general is not equal to H1, H2. Therefore, the set of 2 by 2 Hermitian matrices is not a subgroup of the group of all 2 by 2 complex matrices. On the other hand, the set B, which consists of 2 by 2 unitary matrices, forms a group by itself. Because if 2 by 2 unitary matrices, then by the definition of unitary matrix where U1 dagger U1 is equal to U2 dagger U2 is equal to U1 U1 dagger is equal to U2 U2 dagger is equal to the identity matrix A. And therefore, the product of two matrices U1 U2 has this dagger U1 U2 dagger multiplied by U1 U2 itself is equal to U2 dagger U1 dagger into U1 and U2, which is identity matrix. Hence, the inverse of a unitary matrix is unitary. Clearly, the identity matrix is unitary. Hence, the subset of 2 by 2 unitary matrices form a group and is a subgroup of G. Similarly, the subset C, which is a subgroup, since if U1, U2 are unitary matrices of determinant 1, then U1, U2 also has unit determinant, because determinant of U1 and U2 is equal to determinant U1 into determinant U2 is equal to 1. Now, given a subgroup H of G, it is possible to generate other possible subgroups in the following way. If H is a subgroup of G and X is an element which belongs to G, then the set formed by defining an element X, H, X inverse such that X, H, X inverse for all H belongs to H, it can be proved that it is a subgroup of G. So we now define the left and right cosets. What is a coset? Coset is a group and is a useful concept in decomposing the group into disconnected sets. Let capital H be a subgroup of G. Then capital H consists of elements E, H1, H2, H3, etc., which is a subgroup of the group G whose elements are G1, G2, etc. Let an element A, which belongs to the group G but does not belong to the subgroup H, then no element AH belongs to the subgroup H. If we now multiply every element of H on the left by A, remember where A is an element in the group G but is not an element of the subgroup H, we can generate the set AH consisting of elements AE, EH2, AH3, etc. If the elements of H and of the set AH do not exhaust all the elements of G, then we can pick up another element of B which belongs to the group G but does not belong to the subgroup H, such that A and also B does not belong to the set AH. We can now multiply the element of H on the left by B the way we did for A to generate the set BH, which consist of elements Be, BH2, BH3, etc. These sets AH, BH, these are called the left cosets of H on G. In the same way, we can generate subsets by multiplying the elements of H on the right by the elements AB, etc., which belong to G but do not belong to H, or AH for A belonging to G but not to H, B belonging to G but not belonging to H, and also not belonging to the subset AH. We can thus generate sets HA, HB, etc. These sets are called the right cosets of H on the group G. Having defined the left and right cosets in the earlier slide, I would now like to discuss some properties of the cosets. First property is that neither the left or the right coset can be groups. Consider a left coset A multiplied by H, where A belongs to the group G but does not belong to the subgroup H. If AH were a group, it would contain the identity element E. Since the elements of AH are AE, AH1, AH2, etc., there must be some HJ such that AHJ is equal to E, which implies that A is equal to E times Hj inverse, which is equal to Hj inverse because of the property of the identity, but Hj inverse belongs to H, but Hj inverse belongs to H because Hj belongs to H and H is a group. Thus A belongs to H, contradicting our earlier statement that the A doesn't belong to H. Thus AH is not a group. Similarly, for all the left and right cosets. Cosets have all distinct elements. We prove sets AH and H have no common element. Suppose there is one element in common, say HK, which is equal to A times HG, where A does not belong to H. Then multiplying this on the right by Hj inverse, we have Hk, Hj inverse is equal to A, Hj, Hj inverse, which is equal to A because Hj, Hj inverse is identity element, A times the identity elements is equal to A. Since H is a group, this would imply that A belongs to the group H, which contradicts our earlier assumption. Therefore, neither the left or the right cosets can be groups. We now discuss an important theorem, which is the Lagrange's theorem. According to this theorem, we can find out the order of any possible subgroup of G. That is, if H is a subgroup of G, then the order of H is a factor of the order of G. That is, the order of the group G is an integral multiple of H, which is the order of the group H. How do we prove this? The proof is simple, because we have already shown that if the elements in H and AH together do not exhaust the entire group G, we can construct another set BH with an element B belonging to G but not belonging to H or to this set AH. Then BH also cannot have any element which is common to H or AH. If the group G is of finite order G, we can go on constructing these cosets AH, BH, CH, etc. The group G having finite number of elements implies that this sequence cannot go on forever and would end with some coset MH. Since H is a finite subgroup of order H, and all these cosets have elements, CH elements. Thus, with the construction of the last MH, all the elements of G would be in H, and the cosets and the group G can be written as a sum of the subgroup H with all the cosets AH plus BH plus MH. Thus, G is some integral multiple of H. A remark is in order. The order of a finite group is an integral multiple of the order of its subgroup. The integer G by H is called the index of the subgroup H in G. This theorem restricts the number of subgroups of a finite group. For example, the permutation of the symmetric group S3 is of order 6. But since a subgroup is a factor of this order, the only non-trivial subgroups are of order 2 or 3. We cannot have a subgroup of S3 which is of order 4 because 4 is not a factor of 6. The Lagrange's theorem gives us the order of all subgroups of a finite group. As an example, let us consider S4, which is a symmetry group or a permutation group of degree 4. Its elements are the sets of permutations pi I, which is the ordered set A1, A2, A3, A4. Thus, a permutation pi written as A1, A2, A3, A4, wherein A1 goes to AI, A2 goes to AJ, A3 goes to AK, and A4 goes to AL, denotes the permutation A1 goes to AI, A2 goes to AJ, A3 goes to AK, and A4 goes to A. Let us now consider all the permutations which leave the product A1, A2 plus, which leave the expression A1, A2 plus A3 plus A4 invariant under transformations. We will see that these permutations form a subgroup. What are the elements of this permutation? Number one, we have the identity permutation where A1 goes to A1, A2 goes to A3, A3 goes to A3, and A4 goes to A4. Obviously, the product of A1, A2 added to A3 plus A4 remains unchanged in this permutation. The second permutation is one where A1 and A2 remain unchanged, but A3 goes to A4 and A4 goes to A3. Therefore, once again, the expression A1, A2 plus A3 plus A4 remain unchanged. There is another permutation wherein we have A1 changing to A2 and A2 changing to A1, where A3 and A4 remain unchanged. And finally, the fourth permutation wherein the A1 goes to A2, A2 goes to A1, A3 goes to A4, and A4 goes to A3. So we have four these elements, and the order of the subgroup is 4. What is the order of the original S4 symmetric group? It has 4 elements, so its order is 4 factorial, which is 24. And thus the index of the group S4, and thus the index of the subgroup in S4 is 24 by 4, which is equal to 6. We will now define conjugate classes and conjugacy classes. Consider two elements A and B belonging to the group G. They are called conjugate if there exists one or more elements C belonging to the group G such that A is equal to CB C inverse. This property is designated by saying that A is conjugate to B, that is, A is obtained from B by a similarity transformation C. There are certain immediate properties which follow from the conjugacy. These are number one, the identity. The identity element E, which belongs to G, cannot be conjugate to any other element. To see this, consider if possible, let D belonging to G with D not the identity E be conjugate to E. Then there exists an element F in G such that the identity element E is conjugate to D and can be written as E is equal to F D F inverse, which implies that D is equal to F inverse EF, and since EF is equal to FE, this implies F inverse F is equal to E, which contradicts our own assumption which says that D is not equal to E. So it means that the identity cannot be conjugate to itself. The second property is the property of symmetry. We say that A is conjugate to B, then B is conjugate to A. Since A is conjugate to B, there exists an element C such that A is equal to CB C inverse. Therefore, from here B can be seen to be equal to C inverse AC by multiplying the left hand side by C inverse and right hand side by C. Since C inverse belongs to the G, therefore B is conjugate to A. So if A is conjugate to B, then B is conjugate to A. The third property is the property of transitivity, which says that if an element A is conjugate to B and the element B is conjugate to C, where A, B, C belong to the group G, then A is conjugate to C. Since A is conjugate to B, there exists a D in G such that A is equal to DB, D inverse. Similarly, B is conjugate to C. Therefore, there exists an element E in the group G such that B is equal to EC, E inverse. Substituting for B in the expression for A, we obtain A is equal to DEC, E inverse D. Since D and E both belong to the group G, DE also belongs to the group G and some element F. So A can be written as F, C, F inverse. Therefore, A is conjugate to C. So if A is conjugate to B and B is conjugate to C, then A is necessarily conjugate to C. Conjugacy class. The set of all elements which are conjugate to any element H which belongs to the group G is called a conjugacy class to which H and all elements of H belong. There are several important results which follow from this definition. Number one, the order of any element A in the group G is defined to be the smallest integer p such that an element raised to the power p is equal to the identity element A to the power p is equal to E. That means the group elements belonging to a conjugacy class have the same order. Proof. Let A belongs to a conjugacy class H, which has an order p, which means that A to the power p is equal to E. Let B be another element of the class H, then there exists a C belonging to G such that B is equal to C inverse, because B is conjugate to A. Then B to the power P is equal to C inverse multiplied by P times, which is C A to the power C inverse, which is A to the power P is equal to E, therefore this is equal to E. Hence the order of B is also P. The third property is that the group G splits into the sum of conjugate classes. This can be seen as follows. The identity element is one element conjugate class. Any element AI belonging to a conjugacy class HI cannot belong to another conjugacy class HJ, which is not equal to HI. For if there exists any element in HJ which is conjugate to HI, then by definition A belongs to HI. Thus, G, the group G, can split into a sum of conjugate classes plus the identity E. We will illustrate the above properties by the example with which we are familiar. Let's once again consider the symmetric group S3 of permutations of three objects. The elements of S3 are written as shown in the slide: E, A, B, C, D, and F with their permutations as shown. Now, from the multiplication table, which is given in the slide, it's easy to see that the set of elements A, B, and C and the set of elements D and F form the conjugacy classes H1 and H2. To see this, notice one thing. From the multiplication table, we easily see that A inverse is equal to A, B inverse is equal to B, C inverse is equal to C, D inverse is F, and F inverse is D. Therefore, B can be easily seen to be equal to C inverse AC. That means B is conjugate to A. C can be seen to be equal to D inverse AD. C is conjugate to A. C is also equal to F, A inverse F inverse. And D is equal to AF A inverse, that is, D is conjugate to F. Thus, B is conjugate to A, C is conjugate to A, therefore B is conjugate to C. Hence, A, B, C form a conjugate class. Also, from D is equal to AF A inverse, as can be seen from the table. D is conjugate to F. Hence, another conjugate class consists of only these two elements, F and D. Now, so we have, for the group S3, two conjugacy classes H1 and H2. H1 consists of three elements A, B, C. H2 consists of the element DF. From Lagrange's theorem, the only subgroup of S3 is of order 6. So from Lagrange's theorem, the only possible subgroups of S3 could be of order 3 and 2. The subgroups can be easily seen from the multiplication table to be EDF, because if you look at take the elements EDF, then the multiplication is satisfied and all the group properties are satisfied. So this forms a subgroup of order 3. The three other subgroups of order 2, and each contains the identity element along with the element A or the element B or the element C. Thus, the possible subgroups of S3, which by Lagrange's theorem can be only of order 3 and 2, are indeed a subgroup H of order 3 consisting of elements EDF, and three subgroups of order 2 consisting of elements EA, EB, and EC respectively. The sets of conjugacy classes H1 and H2 are clearly not subgroups of the symmetry group S3. However, the group G is equal to E plus H1 plus H2. Remember that H1 consists of three elements A, B, and C, and H2 consists of two elements D, F. So H1 is a conjugate class of three elements A, B, C. H2 is a conjugate class of two elements D and F. Their conjugate classes are not subgroups, but the total group G of the symmetric S3 is equal to E plus H1 plus H2. Elements of the conjugacy class H1 are of order 2, since A square is equal to B square is equal to C square is equal to E. And the order of the conjugacy class H2 is 3. Why? Because it can be seen the S2, the conjugate class S2 consists of two elements D and F, and D square is equal to F, and F square is equal to D. Therefore, D cube is equal to D into F, which is equal to E. So, D cube is equal to E, and F cube is equal to E. Therefore, its order is 3. Further, the left and right cosets can be easily constructed. The left coset A multiplying all the elements of the subgroup H from the right are ACB, and the coset BH are BAC, CH is equal to CBA, and they are all equal by rearrangement theorem. Similarly, the right cosets HA is equal to HB is equal to HC and are in turn equal to the left cosets and each being equal to ABC. Thus, for the symmetry case, the left and right cosets are all equal and consist of three elements A, B, and C. So, students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. Number one, for a subset of the elements of a group to form a subgroup, it is sufficient to ensure that the subset is closed under group multiplication and that the subset has an inverse for every element in it. Number two, the order of the group G is an integral multiple of the order of the subgroup. Number three, two elements A and B of the group G are conjugate and are said to belong to the conjugacy class if there exists an element C in the group such that A can be obtained from B by a similarity transformation with C, that is, if A is equal to CB, C inverse. Thank you.